Hello, Senor for the Academy, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Carlos Esquivel.
And I'm Emiliano Vasquez.
And you're watching Project Red Remastered. Last Friday, the National Junior Honor Society held their annual World Food Day dance for the 7th and 8th graders in the Middle Division Gym.
This past week was Spirit Week. Here are some interesting pictures of our classmates.
We hope you guys have fun on this week's Spirit Week.
Okay, so now let's see what our athletes have been up to.
Hello, Bloodhounds. I'm Rebecca Rodriguez.
And I'm Alfonso Delgado. And welcome to this week's Sports Talk.
Last Friday, the varsity football team traveled to Corpus Christi to face John Paul II for the district opener game.
After a long game, the Bloodhounds went into overtime after tying 27-27.
Sadly, the Bloodhounds lost, losing 34-33.
This week, the Bloodhounds will face San Antonio Christian for a homecoming game here at Canales Field. Be there by 7 p.m. for kickoff.
Also last Friday, the varsity volleyball team held their last home district game against Victoria St. Joseph.
The girls fought hard but fell short, losing in 3 close sets, 20-25, 17-25, and 18-25.
We would like to congratulate the varsity volleyball team for completing the district season in second place.
They will be heading to the playoffs for the first time. We are extremely proud of the girls for accomplishing so much in just their first year of TAPS.
Their first playoff game will be October 30th at 6 p.m. The location of the game is still being determined.
Good luck, team. We hope you give it your all.
On October 24th, the Winter Sports Orientation was held in the Student Center at 7 p.m.
We hope that everyone that will be participating in winter sports attended the meeting.
On October 29th, the cross-country championships will be taking place.
We wish the team luck in their last meet of the year.
Now let's pass it over to SJ Cares. This week we will be covering the dangers of drugs and Red Ribbon Week. Hello, St. Joseph Academy. My name is Rebecca Rodriguez, and welcome to SJ Cares. This week we had a special Red Ribbon Week assembly. Our guest speakers shared the facts and myths about e-cigarettes and their dangers to our health. Let's take a closer look at some of the effects of smoking on our bodies. Wow, the presentation was eye-opening. The addictive nature of e-cigarettes and the dangerous chemicals can really harm us. We, as students and student athletes, rely on our bodies to be in peak health for performance. And remember, the presenter reminded us that we are basically guinea pigs because the real long-term devastating effects are just being learned. Now, let's go to a new segment called Saintly Minutes with Brother Francis.
Welcome to Saintly Minutes with Brother Francis. I'm Sky Parra, and I'm here with Brother Francis, and this week's saint is St. Joseph. How are you, sir?
Oh, fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. And how was St. Joseph growing up?
Okay, you're going to be disappointed in my answer. We don't know. The Bible is, the New Testament is very, very short on St. Joseph. But we know a little bit about his genealogy, how his family traces back to King David. But other than that, the first time we hear about St. Joseph is at the Annunciation, when Mary has been asked to be the mother of Jesus, and Joseph finds out that she is pregnant, and he wants to leave quietly because he knows that he is not the father. And an angel appears to him in a dream, telling him that what is happening in Mary is the work of God, and just to take it on faith. And so he does, and very quietly, he marries her. And then the next time we hear about him is when Jesus is presented in the temple. But he never says anything. Next time we hear about Joseph is when Jesus is 12 years old, and scripture mentions that Mary and Joseph took the child for the ceremony when he was 12 years old, and then he was lost. And when they found him, Mary said, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been looking for you." And that's it. That's the last time there's any mention of Joseph in Scripture. Later on, when Jesus is preaching, when he's about perhaps 30 years old, the reference is made to Joseph in the sense they're asking about Jesus. Who's this man who's doing all these wonderful things? And someone from the crowd says, "Isn't he the carpenter's son?" And that's it. We're talking about maybe Jesus being 29, 30 years. So Joseph might have been by now maybe 45, 50 years old. And he disappears from the scene. Nowhere to be heard. He was not present at the crucifixion. So scholars assume that sometime before the early life of Jesus, preaching and his death, that somehow Joseph died. And for that reason, when he died, he was probably surrounded by Mary and Joseph and Jesus, and so therefore he's considered to be the patron of a happy death. And canonization did not come into being until about the year 1234 AD, when there were many holy people far away from Rome, and the Christians in their own community wanted them recognized. And so the popes developed a system for recognizing people that the people in Rome had not heard anything about, and so they developed a method for canonization, and that method continues to the present time. You may also, related to this, you may have noticed that the beginning of Mass, the priest will he processes into the church, goes up the altar and kisses the altar, the beginning of Mass. And he's actually kissing a stone which contains the relic of a saint. And so he does that. That method continues to the present time, that he does that honoring the great men and women who died for our faith. But that's all we know. So there's no canonization for Joseph or any other saints before 1234. They were just holy people and honored by the church as such.
How do we get our school name?
Long story. In 1849, the Oblate priests came to Bronzeville to do missionary work. And in 1949, Mass was celebrated on the grounds of the present cathedral for the first time. And their vision was hopefully to establish a church. And so 10 years later, in 1859, the cathedral was finished. And so the missionary priests then set about to evangelize the whole area from Bronzeville all the way up to Laredo. Meanwhile, in 1853, the Incarnate Word Sisters came to Bronzeville, and they started to evangelize by way of education in the classroom setting. So Incarnate Word Academy, in a simple building, was built in 1853. Now, the Oblate priest, the director or the pastor, was also interested in a school for boys. There was a school for girls already, dedicated, their spirit was Incarnate Word, so they were dedicated to Jesus. The cathedral was dedicated to Mary, Immaculate Conception. And so the priest wanted a school for young people, and so he set about gathering materials. Those were hard times. There's a war going on, the Civil War. But finally, in 1866, a simple building was completed, and it was called first Colegio San Jose, in honor of Saint Joseph, because Mary was the name was already taken, and so was the school dedicated to Jesus. So the feeling was that Saint Joseph then would be the guardian of Bronzeville. It would be in good hands. And from then on, The history continues for the school is open 2 or 3 years and then closes because the priests had to pull back because again they were busy with evangelizing sections between Rio Grande City and Brownsville and sometimes all the way up to Laredo. So there were some brothers from other orders who came down for a couple of years, and so St. Joseph Academy had a unbroken history until finally in 1906, 3 Marist brothers, 2 from young brothers from Mexico, but originally from 1 from Spain and 2 from France, came to staff the school. And the school was still Colegio San Jose, and it was an elementary school. And over the years, as the population grew, it became necessary to expand eventually into a high school. And it was not until 1930 that the first graduating class took place. And that was the same year that the name of Colegio San Jose was changed to St. Joseph Academy as it gained its accreditation from the state of Texas. One of the original brothers, Brother Paul Alemán, was at St. Joseph Academy for many, many years, and I had the good fortune of meeting him in 1955. He was elderly by then, in the 70s, but I just remember that memory of having met him when I was there here as a student. He was in sophomore year that I met him, and wonderful man, and I could see why St. Joseph Academy succeeded. It was because of the energy and the faith that this man had in St. Joseph.
Brother Francis, for your time, and now back to the studio.
On October the 30th, we'll be selling cupcakes for cancer during lunch for $1.
On October the 31st, we will have Starbucks Day at the Upper Division Library.
On November 1st, we'll have the Liturgy of All Saints in the Student Center at 9:15.
On November the 2nd, we will have a Chem Club Dress Down Day.
Don't forget that next week book club will meet at the library.
Finally, today we will have a homecoming pep rally. The homecoming game will also be today at 7:30 against San Antonio Christian School. And tomorrow on Saturday is the homecoming dance from 8 to 12 at the Student Center. We hope everybody has a great time at the dance. Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode.
And remember, it's always a great day to be a Bloodhound.
I'm Carlos Esquivel,
I'm Jose Vasquez.
and thanks for watching Project Era Remastered.